Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a seasonal spooky Halloween build. And yeah, I'm quite fond of this camp, even though it's perhaps not the most practical I've ever built. I really do like the atmosphere and the style of it. So let's jump in. Okay, so spooky Halloween build. In the last couple of weeks, Bethesda have released a couple of Halloween bits and pieces onto the Atomic Shop, including the build set here, which has got loads of good stuff in it, and a few bits and pieces besides that we'll have a look at. Let's take a look at the map, see where we are first and foremost. There's our little haunted house. We'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it, because the camp is actually here on the western side of the river, closer to where my character marker is there, as opposed to the actual camp marker, which for some reason is on the wrong side of the river. But that's where we are. It's a spot I've built before. It's nice and flat. You can see Somersville, Camp McClintock, the Wayward there, and just down the road we've got Flatwoods. As I say, it's somewhere I've built a couple of times before, as it's reasonably flat and reasonably good spot to work with. You can see my lake house down there as well. Bit of the camp at the moment. So, see, nice open area, mostly flat. Decent spot to build in. So, let's have a look at where the camp area is just for the moment. So I've positioned the camp unit so I can just fit those two telephone poles inside the build area. This should give you an idea of what to look for when you're trying to sort it out yourself. As I said, not quite as flat as I'd like, but reasonably flat, this bit of ground. So we're going to start on this sort of lump of earth here so that I can make sure the thing is basically the right height. And we'll work out from here. That's pretty good. That's as low as it's going to get, so we'll get some foundations in first and foremost. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And then 2 more sticking out the front. And we'll add some more in a second, but let's just check this first. Not quite. That's a bit wonky. I want it to line up with the front of the road a bit better, so we'll adjust it. Drop those back in. That's better. So, a little bit too far over to the right here, so we'll make a couple of quick adjustments. Shunt that one over there. Grab this one off this end here. There we are. Should be about the right place. Yeah, because we will be extending a little bit further to the right. So let's get another back row on here. Make sure my foundations are all facing the same way. I've gone with the wooden ones here because you get a nice kind of spooky wooden floor sound when you're walking around in there. Even though we will, of course, be carpeting it. So, Halloween build set. Very cool style and kind of works even outside of a Halloween vibe, this, for a kind of abandoned house look. So I do like it. So we'll get some doors, walls and stuff in. It's being a bit finicky apparently. So the plan here for the layout with the windows and stuff is to have windows all the way along the back and on almost all of the front pieces as well. We'll see later on the one that I changed over. But I'm still sort of making my mind up here, so it's not quite what you're seeing. Yeah, the 2 sides will have no windows and the front and the back will be all windows. So there we go, that's the walls in. Next up, we're going to get some internal walls in. So we're going to switch over to the contemporary set, as these go back to back better than the Halloween set are willing to. And that means we can double up the walls, and that we've used the doorways to do it, and change them out to make them walls again, and we can wallpaper both sides. There we go. I wanted to get these in first because the staircase is a little finicky sometimes, so I want to make sure it will go in after the walls, or rather that I can get double walls on beside it, because sometimes that doesn't work if the stairs are in first either. But some persuasion, and we have the stairs in and double walled either side. So, we need to get some floors in, and that's where the easy bit ends. It's not the hardest build in the world, this one, but it did get a little fussy on occasion. So, for some reason, these floors don't want to snap in, probably because of the double walls down below, but it is what it is. However, with a little bit of messing around and swapping things out, I was able to get the half floor to snap in on the outside here. It's not really where I want it, but we can work around, follow the corner around here. That wants to snap. There we go. And now we've got the floor where we want it. Take off the extras, and it works. So there's a few occasions in this build where you might have to try tricks like that, and sort of mess around, play with it a little bit, work around the corners a bit, just to persuade floors and stuff to go in. And we'll get to a few more of those in a moment. So I did the same thing here on this side, but I'm actually going to take this floor back out and just put the roof directly over the rooms. So we'll skip over that bit. And a couple of angled walls on here. And we'll get the upper walls in. So we are going for 1 story high on the end there, 2 stories towards what will be the right-hand side as you look at it from the front, and a sort of 3rd story tower in the centre, which we'll see in a moment. So again, sticking some walls around here again that I won't actually need because I'm going to take them out and replace them with roofs. So we'll put the last couple of walls in. Sun's beginning to set. And I'm just going to change these walls out again to make sure they match up with everything else, because I've now made my mind up. Once I actually figure out what I'm doing. There we go, want a window there, and none on the end. So, that's the starting point. Obviously, on the left here, I want this to be a singular height all the way to the back, because it'll look better. So, we're going to drop that top left corner down, as I said before. So, out with these walls and the roofs. The floors, rather. And we'll put a wall on the side of the stairs here. Now this one could be a single-skinned one, because we then have the outside surface on the outside, once we've got the roof in. And this bit is going to be our upper floor, so we're going to need a landing area, because doors don't line up with this particular staircase. So that's what we're going to put just here, on this sort of one here. And then with the other 3, we'll have a bedroom at the back there, which will be getting extended later, but we'll get to that. And a bathroom on the right, which is sort of where this door is. So that bathroom you want to bear in mind because it's going to get a bit fiddly to follow in a moment. So I do apologise for that, but I'll try and make it as clear as possible. So we're going to swap these walls out so that they're double-sided. Don't actually need a double-sided wall on the bathroom here, because I will want to use the plain wooden boards, as I've done in other builds before as well, which are basically the outside walls. However, as we can actually get double-sided walls in at the moment, if you do want double-sided walls, now would be the time to do it. Easier to take them out than to put them back in. Particularly important point that. Definitely easier to take them out than put them in. So, bear in mind. But we'll get this roof on over this section here, which will become our kitchen diner later. The last 2 angled ones there, and we'll get the Halloween roofs on, which are quite cool. Unfortunately, we only have angled roofs with these windows on them, which is not ideal, but having both would be good. Some that do, some that don't, but it works fine for this one. We'll head back on upstairs. And now we're going to put the staircase in on top again, just to facilitate what will be our kind of central tower. Basically going to end up decorated like a loft, but we'll not get ahead of ourselves there. So for now, we're going to jump up here. And I'm going to pause a second, because see this section here? You're going to need a floor on the top of it, because there will be some external surfaces of walls above these doorways that will look out of place with the wallpaper if you don't put a floor on there. So this is a good time to do it. You're going to have a roof directly above the floor though, so it's a bit finicky to do. So you need to get the floor in and then start the roof at the opposite end to where the floor is. I'll show you in just a second. And then work back towards it, which will allow you to have a roof directly on top of a floor, because it doesn't really like doing that, so build order is essential. So yes, start with your roof at this back edge here, and then work back towards this corner that is nearest to us, having put the floor in first, which I haven't yet done. I actually decided to do that during the decoration phase, but I thought I'll tell you about it now, and then you can save yourself monumental amounts of hassle, which I had to deal with. Fortunately, I've cut most of that out for you, so you won't have to wade through it. So, still haven't made my mind up on the walls here, but in the end I will settle on these full-size walls, so there we go. Let's get those in. And we'll stick a roof on the top. And this one's going to be a front-to-back roof, just contrast with the one at the side there. Which will mean we need to close up the sides. So to save myself faffing with menus, we're going to do some of the other sides at the same time. So there'll be a bit of running around here. So those 2, we'll zip down here. That one in where it's going to go there, and swap over and do the other ones. There we go. All of the gaps plugged up now. So, back down to the bathroom. You don't need to take that door off. It's easier to go into the menu on the edit side and swap it, because as I say, sometimes these Halloween ones won't just snap in. It did here, but other times it won't do it. I also should have wallpapered the back of this wall, and I didn't in the end, so slight error there. What I do want to do is take the 2 inner walls of this bathroom off, so we've got the external boards facing in, and I want to make sure that these get swapped out. Yeah, don't remove that one. So remove this one, not the second one, and I want to make sure these get swapped out for the Halloween pieces so that the walls will match, which previously they were the contemporary ones, so just something to keep an eye on, because it looks similar, but not quite the same. So we're going to close up this top section, and we want to make sure that the interior face of these angled pieces are facing into the bedroom, and the exterior ones should be facing towards the bathroom and the landing, because then we can hide the ones on the landing with the floor piece that I was talking about earlier. I said it was going to get complicated, and this should be the other way around, but yeah, the other way around to that, because then you can wallpaper the inside, which, as I say, I forgot to do. There's always something you miss. As you can see, I had to pull the tower down to mess around with things, so I'm trying to save you that hassle. However, this is basically what we've got. As I say, we're going to have to extend that bedroom a little bit, because it's only one floor piece wide at the moment. It's just not big enough. But we're nearly there. That's what the inside looks like. Once we wallpaper, the fact that those two walls at the end aren't the same won't matter. There we go. You can see that central floor on the right-hand side we'll want extending, and this would be a good time to do it before you put the porch on, because otherwise you'll have to take the porch off and snap it back underneath. It does work to snap it underneath, but you can't extend floors over the top of it without taking the porch off. So, again, something I did in the decoration phase, so you'll see what I mean in just a moment, but it'll all come together. So we'll get this porch on. Put the corner one in first. As it turns out, didn't quite like the way it dips in the back left corner there, so we'll swap it out for a regular flat piece as we're meeting a wall there. I'll shove this over that side and out the way first, because I'm going to need it. There we go. Looks better. These ones on the end, and these are the ones you'll have to pull out if you don't put the upper floor extension in first. So there we go. We have our porch, and we're getting much closer to the final shape now. So we'll get some railings on, and then have a little look around the tour, and we should fill in a few of the blanks for you at this stage. You may wish to consider, if you're going to have a crack at building this yourselves, pausing and maybe using YouTube's slow playback function so you can really see what I did. Because keeping this video to a sensible length was a bit of a challenge. But, with the stairs in, let's take a look at the tour. Here we go, fully decorated, spooky tour time. So as you see in the top right corner there, we added an extra section on there, on the upper floor, just to make that bedroom a little bit bigger, otherwise it would have been way too small. Added some boards over some of the windows. I decided not to do all of them. I thought mishmash would look a little bit more Halloween-y rather than having it too uniform. And a few extra bits and pieces, put some brambles down, some scarecrows, a few Mothman cultist pieces, because they work quite well with the spooky vibe. We've got one window at this far left end that I've taken out, and you'll see why in the look around the kitchen in a bit. We'll swing around the end. Got the new chain link fences, the rusty chain link fences, which are also part of this Halloween kit. So if you do want those, make sure you grab that Halloween set, because good for junk walls and stuff, and you can add extra textures to them. So I will probably be using those in the future as well. I'll have a closer look in a moment. Swinging back around the front. No power in this one either. I've gone for all lanterns and street lamps, or the oil lamps, because it gives that nice warming orange glow. You could use the cage lamps that came from Daily Ops, but I wanted to keep it without power for this one. A few little spooky Halloween decorations out there. Do like the vibe of this place. Let's have the plants over the railings as well, just sort of climbing up over it, gives it a nice wild look, especially now I put the brambles out front as well. A couple of Halloween vending machines. I've decided not to power these, as I say, because the lighting on them is kind of electric style. It's green and orange, which is fine in a Halloween sense, but with the rest of the lighting being non-electric, it kind of sticks out a bit, so they still work without power, so I thought I'd leave them unpowered. So heading out into the back garden, we've got it all fenced off. A Mothman totem there with a campfire underneath it. Just dropped that on top. It went reasonably well, that. A few crops out here as well. The shadows of the trees really adding to the spookiness. So before we swing back around the porch here, let's have a quick look at this fence on the left. So there's basically, we've got a full-size piece there on the right, a half-size fence piece on the left, and the gate in the middle. There's also a double-sized gate as well that's available, but it wouldn't look right in the back, so just use the half-size one there. I did think about putting some of these fences around the front, but I've actually filled the budget on this, and there really wasn't enough room for it to look right. It needs a bit more space in front of the house than I had available for a fence out there. Let's swing towards the front door again. That's my abandoned mineshaft shelter that I've just tucked on the front there. It kind of blends in nicely, and it gives me somewhere to go and actually use crafting benches, because as you will see, apart from a cooking station, there are no crafting benches in this build. It's a set-piece style rather than a practical one, I guess. In through the dungeon door, and we head inside. Not quite as dilapidated in here as perhaps I could have made it, but I do like it nonetheless. Couldn't bring myself to make it too dilapidated. So, got some old-fashioned furniture around. The curtains and the wallpaper are both included in the Halloween pack as well, so it's a decent bundle. There's a lot of stuff in it. 2 or 3 types of wallpaper, 2 or 3 types of curtains, loads of stuff. So we'll head on into the dining room. A few dead plants, spooky displays. Gone for black tiles on the wall, just keep that dingy vibe. Once again, Tipsy Tom vendor pack worktops, I guess, that I've mostly put in manually. You can turn off the snapping on those, which allows you to push them together. So there's a mixture of snapped and unsnapped there, which allowed a decent looking kitchen in there. The sink in the back left corner is why I didn't put the window in, because it sits a little low. It will look a little bit weird with half the sink sticking up over the window, so that's why I took that out. So a few little bits and pieces of statues and stuff around. The concrete busts there, marble bust. Give that old-fashioned look to the place. Close the door and head on through to the living room. I don't know why, but this little table, lamp, and old-fashioned chair combo there I really like by the window. I do wish I could push the chair a little further back without it jumping up, though. But otherwise, I do like that one. And into our oldie-worldy living room. This is a kind of play on a style I've done before, so maybe somewhat familiar to those of you who've seen some of my older builds. But I do like this. Less sofas in this one, more chairs, just to keep that old-fashioned vibe. The country lodge fireplace there, give me a little moody lighting. A couple of pumpkins, because you got some skull candles. One drawback I should note to these walls, particularly when they're wallpapered, is that wall decorations like the paintings and the mounted heads sink into the wallpaper. So you'll need to stack up several of them on top of each other to get the paintings to sit right on the walls. And with the mounted heads, you're just going to have to accept that the plaque is inside the wall if you want wallpaper. Which is what I've done here, but it kind of works. So, we'll head on upstairs. Do excuse a slight robot attack. I'll attend to that before we head upstairs. Yeah, really like the old school style of this. It's kind of very old-fashioned, almost like a manor house, only much, much smaller. Let's head on up to the first floor. So here's our little landing area, and if we look up you can see that floor that I was talking about that I've put in above to hide the external surfaces of the angled and half-size wall pieces at the top there. So that's the result we're going for. And we will push on towards the bathroom in just a second. I do like using the kind of dead plants and borrowed a variation on the idea Halsey had of putting a creepy nurse outfit in a build that she did a few weeks ago. Tucked mine in the corner. It's a little different vibe, but it does fit in the spooky house vibe. So, into the bathroom. 2 side walls, as you can see, use the outside surfaces, which is what we were going for before. Whereas the front and, if I'd remembered rightly, the back of the door as well, would be wallpapered. Which is also why this top section of half wall is actually the wrong way around up there. But you get the idea. Compact, but the dirty bath and stuff works with this kind of spooky build, so I do like that as well. Let's head on into the bedroom. And you can see now why I expanded it an extra floor piece wide, because it really wouldn't have been spacious enough otherwise. So there we go, nice double bed in the middle, with lanterns. Going for old-fashioned style furniture again, and a few beaten up bits and pieces as well. I did consider using the more beaten up looking sort of screen there, but thought the cleaner one fit with the rest of the vibe of the decoration, so we've gone for that one. Again, stuck with the same wallpaper all the way through, because it just works better with the carpet that I shows as well. Yeah, all in all, nice little spooky house. So, let's close the door behind us and head on upstairs. As I say, this tower is primarily there for the shape of the building from the outside. It's kind of dead space on the inside. But I've used it as a kind of storage space, loft, attic type deal up here. So we've got a few random bits and pieces just tucked in. Head on up. Dead plant, random chair. Swing around. There's the cave diving suit. The loft seems like a sensible place for that. And the fortune teller. The lamp there is just to add that little eerie glow from the outside, which, as you'll see in a moment, works quite well, I think. There we go. One, not entirely beaten up. Spooky haunted house. I do like this. I do wish we'd had a more suitable stair texture to use rather than the grills here, the mesh one. But the other textures we've got just wouldn't fit with the haunted house vibe. So I had to make do with what we've got. As I mentioned earlier, the abandoned mineshaft shelter kind of fits in nicely there, and it means I can head down into the shelter to use crafting benches when I need to, because as you can see, there's nowhere in this build to put crafting benches. Especially not with a full budget. But there we go. Just as the sun is beginning to come back up, we reach the end of our little tour. So, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you liked that one. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes for me. I do very much appreciate it. Social media links, merch store, and channel memberships all down below the video as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel that way, I very, very much appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's already done that. And if you get a chance to join us for live streams as well, we are, of course, playing Fallout 76 and a little more Deathloop as well, and having a great time with those. So I do hope to see you there. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Happy Halloween. And I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.